Hi, it's Nicole Kincaid, and you can find me at NicoleKincaid.com. Today, I want to talk to you about this tip that has helped me train people and teach people how to discover where things go in their spaces. It seems like a really weird notion, right? Like, where do things go? Or maybe it's even an obvious notion, but the whole point of stuffology, the whole point in setting up our spaces in a way that makes sense to us, is that you go into ease and flow and have your space reflect what feels good to you and what feels natural to you. That is very contrary to going into adopting somebody else's system about where things should go or how your paper should be organized or how your clothes should hang, blah, blah, blah. That's not what stuffology is about. You get to have your spaces set up whatever way you want to. The problem is sometimes we don't know what that looks like. Like, we don't know how our spaces feel best to us. Like, we're not sure. So the tip that I'm going to share with you is called, where does this go? And what this tip comes out of is this process, this inquiry that I have with clients. And what I will do is I will literally ask them, if you were looking for this item, or if you were going to go find it, or if it were like, oh my God, where is that? And because you hadn't used it, or you hadn't used it in a long time, where would that item be? And then you have to just pause and think and drop into, if I were looking for that item, like, what comes up in regards to where that item would live? What is the key to this tip is that you have to trust that where you put your things and how you organize your home is going to make sense to you, so that when you go to find them or go to use them, that you know exactly where they are because you put them there based on your own inner architecture of where things make sense to you. Okay, here's an example. I worked with a client and he had paint cans for every different room underneath his master bathroom cabinet, or in his master closet. He'd have another paint can, and that paint can had the color in it that related to that room. You get what I'm saying? So every room had all the paint cans in those rooms that belonged to those rooms. And I thought, oh, that's really interesting. So I asked him about it. And I go, you have all, and he goes, yeah, it's totally a hassle because I can never find the paint cans because they're in here and I always forget. And I said to him, I go, well, according to you, like, where do the paint cans go? Like, where do they, you're like Sunday morning waking up, you notice that like some walls need to be touched up in the kitchen. Like, where do you head to go find the paint? And he goes, in the garage, of course. And I thought that was so fascinating because for him, and for many of us, most of us, right? The paint cans would all be in the garage, like in what I would call a department. And that's where they go. But it was true for him too. But he hadn't set it up that way because he had gone through a remodel. And at the time of the chaoticness of going through a remodel, he had it in his mind that he would just keep the paint cans in the different rooms because that's where he was using them. And then he decided at that moment, but that didn't really make sense for who he really was. So he was creating this like conflict and this dissonance with himself when he was looking for what he needed. We do that all the time. We constantly like make up where things should go, but they don't really make sense to who we are. So what I want you to do is I just want you to play with that for a few days or just ongoing for however long you like. I want you to start asking yourself, where does this go? Like, where does this item go? The other day, I had an experience with this where I was looking for something that I had not looked for in a very long time. I was actually looking for a needle and a thread. And I know that I have like a little sewing kit. And so I just was like, all right, there could be a lot of places where this could exist, but I just have a feeling, knowing me, that it's in this certain spot. And I'm like, it was the first thing that came up to me. It wasn't a spot that necessarily made sense. And that's where we have to start developing that trust for ourselves, with ourselves, around putting things in certain areas that make sense to who we are. So I went and I looked in that spot in my nightstand in the bottom drawer, and there was my sewing kit. And I thought, man, this is an important step. If we can build our trust up with ourselves and start building our environments to put things away and to have things live in areas that make sense to us, man, it makes such a difference in the feel of our home and how in balance and how flowful we feel in our own spaces. So don't let anybody tell you where to put your things. You get to put your things and organize your things in whatever way you want to. Have a great day. If you want a free guide on how to start organizing more, I have a freebie on my website, and it is at NicoleKincaid.com. How to dominate your clutter by not doing these 7 things. It's free. Go get it. It's a neat download. I hope you enjoy it.